Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. This is Gina. So, a documentary filmmaker has come forward with a pretty interesting story about when he was trying to create a documentary film about Jeffrey Epstein. This guy is a Canadian. He's an award-winning documentary filmmaker. Apparently, he's made over 30 films. His name is Barry Avrich, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Avrich. He alleges that he was threatened after starting his research and working on he was working to put together a documentary film about Epstein and his crimes. He told reporters that in 2016, he was eating at a restaurant with his family in Palm Beach when he spotted Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell dining together. He saw them come in and they were seated. And after he observed how they were acting, how they were trying to be really low key, and the way they were treated by restaurant staff, he became intrigued. So he started asking questions. He started investigating Epstein. And even before he left the restaurant that day, so he slipped a $20 bill to the maitre d' and he inquired about who Epstein was, what's his story, and the maitre d's kind of cryptic in the way he answered, but he told him that it would be best not to say hello. And he referred to Maxwell as Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend, which is interesting since Ghislaine Maxwell told investigators that she hadn't even spoken to Epstein in over a decade, which of course we already knew was a lie because the unsealed emails show that they had been communicating over the last 5 years. But I digress. So Avrich said that as part of his investigation into Epstein, he actually visited Epstein's Palm Beach estate on 2 separate occasions. So he had his wife drive him there one day, and then the next day he walked there. And on the second visit, because he said when he went with his wife, you couldn't see anything because, of course, the estate is covered in shrubbery and tall hedges, so you can't see anything going on inside. But when he walked over there the second day, he saw 2 teenage girls leaving the property. Now, he said, he had no evidence that anything had gone on with them or that they were doing anything wrong. And of course, he didn't know their exact age, but he did say, quote, "They had girl next door looks and were simply dressed in shorts and tank tops. I did notice they had vacant and sad expressions." So Avrich decided that he would conduct a sting operation to actually catch Epstein in the act and hopefully on camera. So what he was planning to do was to send in women who looked like they were minors but were actually over 18 and have them use hidden cameras. But given what Avrich had learned about Epstein, he was, of course, concerned for their safety. So he reached out to a retired police detective and a security firm, and he was hoping to partner with them, and he wanted to get advice. Well, in the meantime, he decided to leak the idea for his documentary to the New York Post. When news broke about his documentary and what he was planning, he was absolutely besieged by emails and calls, not only from former Epstein victims, but also from anti-sex trafficking groups and others who offered to actually help fund his work. So they were offering to help pay for his documentary to be completed. And he said that Epstein's alleged victims who reached out to him, all of whom were minors, described just horrific events, including gang rapes, quote, pathetic pleading for sexual gratification, and forced abuse. One woman told Avrich that Maxwell was present during the abuse and that she even offered the girls cash bonuses if they could procure additional girls for her and Epstein. And another woman told him that Epstein physically threatened her and her family if she ever told anyone what was happening. And the Anti-sex trafficking groups told Averich that they were frustrated by their attempts to expose Epstein, and they were really excited about what he was doing because Epstein was being protected, even though his crimes were well known by journalists and the police. I mean, oh, God, this shit just pisses me off. So one day, and this is like literally one day after the New York Post ran the story about Averich's research and his plans for the documentary, he received what he described as a, quote, haunting phone call from a former Palm Beach police officer. So according to Averich, the retired officer warned that he was, quote, playing with fire and that Epstein had the resources and connections to hurt me both physically and financially. Averich also claims that the police officer said that Epstein used private security firms that, quote, played dirty, and he admits that the call scared him. But he did continue his research, and he said that he never did hear directly from Epstein. He said, quote, I continued my research and was uncovering beyond disgusting details about lurid abuse and the gang rapes of so many children. I was horrified that Epstein put on a tuxedo and attended galas with Maxwell and then went home to one of his many houses of horrors and abused children. Averich also claims that he shopped the idea for his documentary around to streaming services and was told that Epstein was, quote, not famous enough for anyone to care. Really? Seriously? What is wrong with people? So unless a pedophile is famous, no one really gives a shit. No one really cares that children, little children, I mean, it just came out. If any of you have been following my show, you know that I just shared the new lawsuit that was filed against Epstein. And one of the girls was only 11 years old, a sixth grader. Think about that, an elementary school student, a child with stuffed animals probably on her bed at home. And she was sexually assaulted by Epstein. But people don't care. This is what's wrong in this freaking world, that people just don't care unless it affects them directly or unless someone is famous. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn. So Averich was put in touch with an Oscar-nominated documentary film director who turned the project down because, quote, he was not going to sully his reputation and follow an Oscar-nominated film with a film about a pedophile. So this guy was nominated for an Oscar for a film about O.J. Simpson. He didn't want to sully his reputation. Let's break this down. He was willing to do a film about a famous football player who literally almost decapitated his wife and then got off scot-free because people in this country are so obsessed with celebrity that they don't care. They literally don't care what the hell you do. You can get away with whatever the hell you want. As Donald Trump said, when you're a celebrity, they let you do it. Apparently that applies to everything, not just grabbing women by their genitals. But then if you're not famous enough, nobody cares to hear about the story. So this guy turned him down. Apparently, just being a pedophile, just victimizing children and destroying their lives forever, leaving them with emotional scars that never leave, leaving them with PTSD, that's not enough. No, that would sully his reputation. Really? So Averich finally ended the documentary project. He claims that it's because he just didn't have the stomach for it. So he said, quote, ultimately, what made me decide to abort this project was that I found it difficult to keep reading the horror stories and look in the eyes of my 12-year-old daughter. I'm sorry. I would have respect for this man if he said he ended the project because he feared for his life or that of his family. But to end the project because you are hearing these stories about what is happening to children the same age as your daughter, wouldn't that cause you to continue? Wouldn't that make you want to protect other children? Wouldn't that make you even more empathetic to what they had to live through and the fallout, and you know it's still going on. He said he went there and saw teenage girls coming out of Epstein's compound. So he knew it was still continuing. I don't get this. Everyone failed these children. Everyone. Everyone was willing to turn a blind eye, and the media is still burying this. All media. All media. Even Fox News, the only thing that they will talk about is Bill Clinton. And yeah, if he's guilty, as I've said before, bury him under the prison. I don't care which side of the political spectrum. I don't care what you do for a living. You should be buried under a prison if you have harmed a child. But no one else, no one else in mainstream media is talking about this. They did a little reporting on it initially, and then when Epstein killed himself, and then everybody has dropped it. You know why? Because the tentacles reach into every area. Nobody wants to touch this because everyone knows it's like so many degrees of separation between them and who took part in this. It's disgusting. It is absolutely unconscionable and reprehensible that this was allowed to go on for decades, literally decades. And people knew about it and they just looked away while children's lives were destroyed. Unfreaking believable. Anyway, guys, that is my Epstein rant for the day. I will, of course, stay on top of all of this and let you know if I hear anything else. But yeah, I just thought that this was really, really telling, that so many people just back off. So many people knew about this and threatened anyone who would dare expose it. And yeah, they allowed it. They allowed it to continue. Just vile. So as always, guys, like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.